Hello, sports fans. Are you ready for some football? Let me say it again. Are you ready for some football? I am. I'm all fired up about the new NFL season. Hard to believe it's been 7 months since New England won yet another Super Bowl. But we are ready for week number 1 in the league where they play. For pay! And let's get right to it. Let's get to the Thursday night game. New England will be hoisting their championship banner. The Pats at home, minus 8.5 against the Kansas City Chiefs. New England took a couple hits in the preseason. They lose Edelman for the year. That's a big loss. Ninkovich retired. Then the Pats' number 1 pick, he also goes out for the year. So New England took some hits. But no one plugs in players better than New England and Bill Belichick. They'll find some guy we never heard of off the practice squad, and he'll become a big star. So don't feel sorry for New England one bit. They'll fill in these gaps. Make no mistake about it. Kansas City, they made it to the playoffs last year before losing to the Steelers at home. They lost Ware for the year already. Listen, when I look at this spread 8.5, I mean, to me, I'm going to move this line down to 2.5. I'm going to take New England in a 2-team teaser. I mean, money line's probably going to be too high. I think New England will win. They're home. Hard to ever go against them at home. Spread's a little high at 8.5, so I don't love giving that, especially in week 1. But I'll move that line down to 2.5 because I think New England's going to win the game. Like I said, hard to go against them. So I'll take New England in a teaser. I'll move that line to 2.5, and I'll play them with another team. That's pick number 1. Pick number 2. Let's go to one of my favorite stadiums in all of the NFL, Soldier Field in Chicago, where the Atlanta Falcons are minus 7 against the Chicago Bears. Atlanta had a tremendous season last year, was a hair away from winning the Super Bowl before that awful collapse, the awful play calling at the end. Just a bitter pill for Atlanta to swallow again. We'll see how Atlanta reacts. We'll see if they have any kind of Super Bowl hangover. Remember what happened to Carolina last year? I don't think that's going to happen to Atlanta. I think they're too good. I like the team. I like the coaching staff. I like what Atlanta's doing. They got a brand new stadium that looks absolutely unbelievable down there in Atlanta. So I think Atlanta's going to be real good and knocking on the door again. Just like the first game, I'm going to move this line. Atlanta's 7 over Chicago. I'm going to make it 1, and I'm going to play Atlanta in a 2-team teaser. Maybe even playing with New England. That's a good combination right there. But I think Atlanta is too much for Chicago. So I'll take Atlanta, move the line down to 1, and I'll play with another team. Maybe New England or another team. But I like the Falcons to win. So that's pick number 2. Pick number 3, let's go down to Houston. And Houston, we are thinking about you after that terrible hurricane and all the flooding down there. I hope you guys are bouncing back really well. I know it's going to take some time, but the great state of Texas always bounces back. But we're thinking about you up here in New York. Houston Texans, minus 5 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Watt, of course, will be back healthy this year. Savage will get the start at quarterback. Remember, Houston drafted Watson, but Savage will get the start. Interesting to see how Watson plays in the NFL when he gets his shot. Jacksonville, it's the same old story with Jacksonville. What's the deal going to be with them at quarterback? Bortles is going to quarterback. Then they said Henny might quarterback. Now it's going to be Bortles. I feel like Jacksonville has not had a good quarterback since Mark Brunell. I mean, Bortles to me looks like he could be a bust. We know Henny's not the answer. Gabbert was a bust as well. Gerard before that, Leftwich, those guys were okay. Jacksonville's never had a big-time quarterback, and that's what's really killing them now. They have some talent, Jacksonville, but you need that quarterback. As far as this game, listen, I'm going to look for Houston here in the money line. I think Houston's defense with Watt coming back is going to be too much for Jacksonville. Jacksonville's got spotty quarterback play, so I think Houston's going to win the game. I'll look for the money line there, and I'll take Houston. I think they're going to be all fired up playing for those fans down there in Houston. I think Houston wins this game, so I'll take Houston in the money line there. That's pick number 3. Pick number 4, this game has just gotten canceled, by the way. Tampa Bay was minus 2 over Miami in Miami, but that game is now canceled because of the potential hurricane coming up. So that game is going to be moved to like week 11. As you know, Miami took a big hit in the offseason. Tannehill out for the year. They signed Cutler. We know Cutler's not any good. He'll have 1 good game, 3 bad games, but that game has been postponed to week 11, so let's move off of that game. If that game was to be played, I was going to take Tampa. But anyway, let's go to pick number 5. Let's go to the Dog Pound in Cleveland, another one of those classic stadiums, and those poor Brown fans. They have had to suffer so much. No fan base has had to suffer more than the Cleveland Brown fans. I mean, year after year, they just have dismal seasons. Pittsburgh minus 8.5 in Cleveland. You expect the Steelers to have a big-time year. They've added a lot to the secondary. To me, it's going to come, the offense is good. To me, it's going to come down to the Pittsburgh pass rush. You can't rely on Harrison. They drafted Watt's brother in the first round. Watt, Dupree from last year, Shazier. They got to get to the quarterback. They do that. Pittsburgh's going to be a contender. As far as this game, Cleveland going with Kaiser at quarterback. You got to like Pittsburgh. I know the spread's high on the road. I know Pittsburgh doesn't play as well on the road as they do at home. Again, let's move this line. Let's make Pittsburgh minus 2.5. Play them with another team. Maybe Pittsburgh, Atlanta. Maybe Pittsburgh, New England. In a two-team combination, you have to think the Steelers are going to win this game. I know 8.5 is high on the road. That's why I'm going to move it to 2.5. But I think the Steelers get through. Play them in a teaser. That's pick number 5. Pick number 6, let's go out to Los Angeles, where the LA Rams are minus 3.5 against the Indianapolis Colts. This spread started with the Colts with 3.5 point favorites, but now Andrew Luck is going to be out for week 1. They're going to go the Colts with Brissett at quarterback, so you don't know what you're getting from the Colts. Then you got the Rams on the other side. You got Goff at quarterback. He took a beating last year. The Ram offense was anemic. Donald is a holdout for the Rams. They do get Watson in a trade with the Bills, so that should help. Listen, to me, this has got a messy written all over it. This could be a 13-7 yawner. This is an absolute mess. I don't like the spread either way. There's no way I could take the Colts without Luck. I don't love the Rams all that much. If you ask me to pick somebody, I'll take the Rams in the money line, but I don't love that game at all. That's got messy written all over it. That's pick number 6. Pick number 7. Let's go out to Santa Clara, where the Carolina Panthers are minus 5.5 against the San Francisco 49ers. Carolina 2 years ago, great season, made it to the Super Bowl. Last year fell flat on their face. I didn't like that they gave away Norman, at the end of the Super Bowl run. They let him go to Washington. I didn't like that. I thought he was the heart and soul of their defense. They got to move on eventually. I mean, Carolina, they have to be better than they were last year. They have to be. I don't know if they're going to have a big season, but I think they'll be better than last year. San Francisco, I can't see them being any good. Hoyer is quarterbacking. The one thing I'll say about San Francisco, the last 2 openers they've won at home and then have had dismal seasons. So if you're ever going to play the Niners, you might want to play them in week 1. I can't do it, though. I'll look for Carolina here in the money line. I'm not too confident about the spread or using Carolina in a teaser. I'll look for them in a money line. It's a game I don't love, but I'll take Carolina to win. So that'll be pick number 7. Pick number 8. Oh, here comes a real doozer of a game. Let's go up to Buffalo. And I love those fans up there in Buffalo. I love the fans up there in Buffalo. But this game is an atrocity. The Buffalo Bills are minus 9 against the New York Jets. Let me say it again. Minus 9 against the New York Jets. How bad are the Jets? We know the Bills aren't any good. The Jets at 9-point underdog to the Bills? Are the Jets going to win the game this year? Oh my God. They're going with McCown at quarterback, the Jets. We know he stinks. Petty and Hackenberg, no hope for them. The only hope for a Jet fan is they go 0-16 and get the number 1 pick next year because there's a lot of good quarterbacks coming out. Are the Jets this bad? Because I know Buffalo's not any good. Taylor looks like he's going to be cleared to play. He has a concussion, but I think Taylor is going to play. Yates, the backup, also has a concussion. I didn't like that they traded away Watkins. They also have Webb as a quarterback. I don't think Buffalo is any good, and I know the Jets stink. This is another game. The money line's probably going to be too high. You want to tell me move the line to 3 and take Buffalo? Okay, I think I'm going to throw this game out completely. I think Buffalo will win, but this is a real smell job type of game. This has got stinker written all over it. I don't want to go anywhere near this game. If you ask me who's going to win, I'd probably say Buffalo. Maybe use them in a teaser money line, but this is an atrocious game. Anyway, let's go to pick number 9. Let's go to the jungle in Cincinnati, where the Cincinnati Bengals are minus 3 against the Baltimore Ravens. We got a real good division matchup here to kick things off. Flacco will play, didn't play at all in the preseason. Bengals minus 3 against Baltimore. This is a really tough game. I'm going to go the other way with the teaser here. Spread doesn't do anything for me either way. Not too confident with Cincinnati actually winning the game. So I'm going to move the line to 9, and I would consider looking at Baltimore in a teaser. I think it's going to be a razor-close game. Could go either way. I could see either team winning. So that's why if I grab the 9, I feel pretty confident it's going to be a close game. So I'll take the Ravens plus 9 there in a teaser. Pick number 10. Let's go down to Washington, D.C., where the Philadelphia Eagles are minus 1 against the Washington Redskins. Another classic NFC East divisional game. Of course, the Redskins lose Jackson, the receiver. He goes off to Tampa Bay. This has got a white knuckle written all over it. Philadelphia got off to such a hot start the beginning of the last year, and then they fell flat on their face. I still think Wentz is going to be a good quarterback. We'll see about the Philadelphia coach. He got off to a great start, then did some questionable things at the end of the year, and Philadelphia fans have a short fuse. Don't want to continue that trend, and they'll be asking for him to be fired. Really interesting game here. I think it's another close game. Being it's close, could go either way. Let's take Washington, move that line to 7. I get the home field and 7 points, and I think it's going to be close. So I'll take Washington there in a teaser, and I get the home field as well. I think it could go either way, though. That's pick number 10. Pick number 11. Really nice game. One of the best games on the board. The Tennessee Titans at home, -2 against the Oakland Raiders, and oh, how I love both of these teams. Tennessee showed me a lot last year, took a nice leap forward. Let's see if they can take another jump and get into the playoffs. I like the team. Quarterback has ability. Very nice offensive line. Like what they're doing down there in Tennessee. And the Raiders, they treated me so well last year. I think I picked just about every Raider game right. I picked the Raiders each and every week. It's too bad their season ended when Carr got hurt. That was a bad break. But they're back and ready to go this year. We'll see about Janikowski. I don't know about this contract situation, what's going to happen with him. This is another game that is really too close to call. Could go either way. So again, I'll take the Raiders, move the line to 8, because I think it's a field goal game either way. I couldn't tell you who's going to win this game. I like both teams. I'd love to take both of them this week, but they're playing each other. So I'm going to move the line to 8. Take the Raiders. Think it's a field goal game either way. Classic game. This is one of the must-watch games of the weekend. If you're a football fan, watch that one. It'll be a good one. Pick number 12. Let's go to Detroit, where the Arizona Cardinals are -1.5 against the Detroit Lions. Detroit had a very surprising year last year. Won a lot of close games. Arizona had a very disappointing year last year. Again, 1.5 point spread. You can see this game going either way. So again, let's move the line to 7.5. I get the Lions, the home field, and the 7.5. You think it's got to be close. I can't see a blowout either way in this game. Too hard to pick a winner in week 1. So I'll take Detroit with the 7.5. Pair them with another team, and I'll go that route. Pick number 13. Let's go to the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field, where the Green Bay Packers are -3 against the Seattle Seahawks. Like the Tennessee-Oakland game, if you're a football fan, you got to watch this one. This is classic football. This is really big-time football. I'm going to take Green Bay here. Look at the money line. Look at the -3. Just because I remember last year when they played in Green Bay at the end of the year, Green Bay laid it on Seattle. Seattle's got to come across the country. Hard to go against Rodgers at home. I love both teams. I respect Seattle. If you like Seattle, I couldn't argue with you. If you like Seattle with +9 in a teaser, I couldn't argue with you. But I'm going to lean towards Green Bay here. Rodgers at home. I remember what they did to Seattle last year. I'll take Green Bay there. That's pick number 13. Pick number 14, another classic NFC East showdown, as the Dallas Cowboys at home are -4 against the New York Giants. Remember, the Giants beat Dallas twice last year. Dallas only had 2 regular season losses. Then they had that heartbreaking loss in the playoffs to Green Bay. Elliott looks like he's going to play and then be suspended for 6 games starting in week 2. Beckham, who knows about him? It's going to be a game-time decision with him. When I first looked at this game, I thought Elliott was going to be out and Beckham was going to be healthy, and I was going to take the Giants +10 because both games were close last year. And no Elliott, Beckham healthy. Now with Beckham questionable, Elliott playing, I mean, I could still see it being close, still could see taking the Giants +10, but I might lean towards Dallas in the money line here. I think Dallas remembers what the Giants did to them last year, and they want a little revenge this year. They want to beat the Giants in the worst way. Beckham being a little questionable for this game. Elliott playing, it looks like. I'm going to lean towards Dallas to win a nail-biter. I think it's a classic NFC showdown. If you like the Giants +10 and Beckham's on the field, couldn't argue with you, but I'm going to lean towards Dallas to eke it out. That's pick number 14. Pick number 15, remember you got 2 Monday night games the first week of the year. The Minnesota Vikings in that brand new, nice stadium, -3.5 against the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans is one of those teams you never know what you're getting, especially on the road. I mean, you never know what you're getting from the Saints. The weird thing about this game is Adrian Peterson is now on the Saints. That's going to be tough. I mean, that's going to be hard to get used to. Minnesota had a very disappointing year last year. You don't know what you're getting from the Saints, so this is a big mess here. I don't know which way to go. I mean, the Saints plus 9.5, not too confident there. The spread either way, not too confident. I'm going to lean towards Minnesota money line. Minnesota ekes it out, maybe by like a field goal or so. I think it's going to be close. I just have a feeling it's going to be close, but I'm not all that confident in it. I would lean towards Minnesota winning. That's why I'm going to go with them probably in the money line. I think at home, Monday night, that dome is going to be cooking. I think that's enough to get them through here. Minnesota really needs to win this game because if they lose this game, I mean, they're going to have flashbacks to last year when it all fell apart in the second half of the year. So Minnesota needs to get off to a hot start. I think they eke it out. That's pick number 15. And the last game, pick number 16, the Denver Broncos at home, minus 3.5 against the LA Chargers, who will be playing at the StubHub Center this year, which seats about 30,000. Interesting to see how the Chargers play there. They're on the road this week. The Chargers, much like the Saints, you never know what you're getting from them. They sometimes play better when they're 31 points down. Chargers always seem to have a lot of injuries. They have a lot of talent. Rivers throws for 500 yards and they lose. Very bizarre team, the Chargers. Denver, what are we going to get from quarterback at the quarterback position from Denver? Looks like they're going to go with Simeon. Lynch is hurt. They signed Osweiler again. Denver had trouble moving the ball from here to there last year. I'm going to take the Chargers and with the 9.5. I'm going to take the Chargers in a tease also. Hard to go against Denver at home, but I'm going to take the Chargers with 9.5. I think Rivers is going to make this game close. Chargers usually are able to move the ball. I know Denver's defense, is good, but can Denver score? I mean, I just don't trust their offense right now. I think the Chargers can make it close in week 1, so I'll lean towards the Chargers in a teaser plus 9.5. So those are my picks for a week 1 in the NFL. Now listen, week 1 and the first few weeks in the NFL, bet slow, see what's going on here. The first 4 weeks is a feeling out process. Then the last 3 months of the season, you bet very heavy. You leave out the last game of the year because no meaning in that last game of the year usually. Then you bet hard again in the playoffs. But let's see what's going on first, the first 2, 3, 4 weeks of the season before we start betting heavy. Let's get a feel for these teams. There's going to be surprise teams. There's going to be teams you think are good that are going to be bad. You got to get a feel for these teams. All these different quarterbacks, who's hurt, who's in, who's out. Got to get a feel. Don't bet too heavy the first few weeks of the season. Then once we get to like week 5, then we start really cooking. If you look at last year, first 4 weeks, I was kind of mediocre, and then I took off and I was flying the rest of the year. So that's what I recommend to you guys. Bet slow, and then we'll see how things develop. Great to have football back, though. As far as the college football, I'm going to start making my college football picks next week. Not a lot has been going on in college football. A lot of big teams pounding, smaller teams. A lot of big spreads, like 40-point spreads. This week you do have some nice games. Ohio State, Oklahoma is a nice one. Notre Dame, Georgia, although the Georgia quarterback is out, so you got to lean towards Notre Dame there. USC, Stanford is a good game. USC had all sorts of trouble with Western Michigan. Clemson, Auburn is another great game. As far as what's gone on so far in college football, how about UCLA coming back from 44-10 down and beating Texas A&M? Now everyone wants Sumlin fired at Texas A&M. Listen, I was never a big Sumlin fan, but you got to give him the rest of the season. You can't fire him off just one game, but A&M, all sorts of problems. Their quarterback's out. They lose a 34-point lead. What a disaster as far as Texas A&M football right now. Tennessee had a big comeback against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech misses the 2-point conversion at the end. Alabama beats FSU. FSU's quarterback goes out for the year, so it's going to be a long year for FSU, you think. Hard to see them win in the ACC now. I did bet a few games. I bet Michigan over Florida because Florida had a ton of guys out, so I thought Michigan was a steal. I bet Colorado State over Oregon State because Colorado State was opening up a new stadium, so I liked them there. And then the next week I took Colorado over Colorado State because I thought Colorado State was going to have trouble getting back up for a game against, coming off a big win with a new stadium, then going back against Colorado, who's a decent team. So I did go 3-0 in my picks in college football. Made a couple of small wagers. Anything else going on in college football? Va-Tech beat West Virginia. Maryland had a nice win against Texas, but Maryland lost their quarterback. Bad start for the Texas coach. And how about Howard? Howard University, 45-point underdog to UNLV, and they win the game outright. The first thing I I thought of when I saw that game was, how is UNLV 45 points favored over anyone? So college football, we're just getting warmed up. I promise you I'll give you some picks next week on college football. Got to get a feel for these teams. A lot of big teams pounding small teams, a lot of 40-point spreads. Hard to zero in on anything right now. I did look at Indiana -3 against Virginia this week because Indiana did show me something in losing to Ohio State. But I don't love Indiana all that much giving points on the road. I know Virginia's not all that good. You know, they beat William and Mary. That was a game I did look at. But right now I'm going to take the college football week off. I'll start making picks next week with college football. So that's where you are on your college football. Baseball wild card coming down to the wire. American League, you got a ton of teams within like 3 games. So the baseball should be exciting the rest of the way. Boxing, you got Golovkin-Alvarez coming up. That should be a good fight. I'm not even going to get into the Mayweather, the Mayweather-Conor McGregor nonsense. Did you watch any of those press conferences? Oh, my God, that was mindless stuff. I told you I wasn't going to buy the fight. I did not buy it. To me, that was all hype and very little substance. U.S. Open going on in tennis right now. What else is new? I see it's the quarterfinals, and I see Federer and Nadal still there. Are there any young stars in men's tennis? And soccer going on as well. You had all the World Cup qualifiers. U.S. Loses to Costa Rica, then comes back and ties Honduras. That actually turned out to be a good tie for them because they looked like they were going to lose that. I think when all's said and done, the U.S. will beat Panama and Trinidad and make the World Cup next year. So there you go. You guys are all caught up. You guys are all set for Week 1 in the NFL, which begins tomorrow night in New England. I will be back with you guys every Tuesday. I know I'm a little late this week. We had Labor Day holiday, a lot of things going on this week. But I will be back every Tuesday, probably early afternoon Eastern Standard Time. I'll give you all my NFL picks. Next week I'll start with the college football picks. Anything else going on in the sports world, we'll cover it. Great to be back with you guys. Look forward to talking to you. Pick a lot of winners. Make a lot of money. I'll talk to you guys next Tuesday. Take care.